So she's like, so you didn't work with so company at this time, and once they see you like this, once you give them your passport, they know that I'm from you. Hey, you better run people attention to detail. Why I chose the school that I chose. This was the cheapest. To plan strategically, thinking to yourself that if I were the consular officer and somebody is standing in front of me saying this story that I'm saying, will I give them the visa? Just look for loopholes in your story. All these Abuja rich men, they will give this man visa. If they don't ask you for documents, don't mean that was the end of the interview. Hello everyone, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. If going to the US is on your vision board, then this is one video you don't want to miss. So what are we discussing today? We're discussing all things US visa process, and the biggest mistake that I see people make every day. I just cringe. And I'll be discussing this by giving you tips on, to make your US visa process easier. I have a little bit of experience with the F1 visa because that's how I got into the United States, and I have people around me that have gone through the whole, I think, B1, B2 visa process. So, from their experience, I feel that I have some things that I know that will probably be helpful to you. So let's get going. So one of the biggest mistakes that I see people make every time is not giving themselves enough time to prepare. I see people come in January and be like, I want to go to America, I want to go to the United States in latest, I feel run now quick or something. And I feel that if you don't give yourself enough time to prepare, you're just planning to get a refusal actually. So in my opinion, I feel that you should give yourself minimum of 6 months, 6 to 12 months actually, considering this whole pandemic right now that we're in. That might even be little time. Do you understand? So give yourself enough time to plan and prepare. It will be a good time to go to the official US visa information website for Nigeria. I'll put the website on the screen and read, soak in as much information, and know everything you're meant to know. Get as much information as you can. It's a whole process. It's a process. You don't want to rush it. Especially if you're applying for the first time, you want to get it right the first time. You don't want to mess things up. So why won't you just take a little bit of time and then plan yourself? If you're going, for example, you're going with an F1 visa, you need to get your passport, you need to apply to schools. While applying to schools, you want to get courses or schools that align with your career goals. You want to get the best rate. Some schools will require for you to get maybe IELTS. Some schools do not require that. Some schools require for you to write your GRE, depending on the course you want to study. Now you want to get good scores in these exams, so you need a little bit of time to prepare, except you're a genius though, but you need a little bit of time to prepare for all of this so that you don't mess everything up at the end of the day. So the tip here is to give yourself as much time as you can to plan strategically. The next mistake that I see people make all the time is not paying attention to details, especially when it comes to filling out your DS-160. Your DS-160 is the form you're going to fill to apply for your visa. So while you're filling this form, I beg you with everything that you know to please pay attention to details. Before filling out anything, think back. Think again before writing it. Write down everything correctly. Don't avoid any kind of mistake at all or errors, and just fill it out in the best way that you can. Give complete information. Don't write what you don't know, and just fill it out. I always advise for you to take screenshots or print it out so that you have every information you have filled in there. You have time to probably go through them. Why is this important? Because this is the form that you're filling on the visa website, and that's all the information you're giving, like the consulate office. The moment you get to the front of your consulate officer. Now, it's that information that you have filled on your DS-160 that is going to pop out in front of them on their screen. So they're asking you questions based on the information that you've given to them. Do you understand? So if you have written something on your form and they ask you, right, and you're saying something different, that's inconsistency already. And you know, if I were a consulate officer, that's a red flag. So please pay attention to details. And also, it doesn't matter if this is your first or your second time, just make sure that there's consistency in everything that you're submitting to the US visa office. I have a friend that applied to the US, and I think he was denied the first time, and he applied the second time. Okay, now he had written down the first time that he worked after NYSC, he worked with a particular company, his uncle's company. All right, so by the second time he went there, he filled out the form again, and he wrote that upon completion of his NYSC, he started working with Coca-Cola, right? And the consulate officer asked, what have you been doing after your, NYSC program? And he's like, after my NYSC program, I started working with Coca-Cola. And he already felt before that time that he had worked with, this is the story he told me, that he had worked with a particular company. And he's like, and she asked like 3 times. And he answered again that I have been working with Coca-Cola since I finished my NYSC. And so she's like, so you didn't work with so company at this time? And that was the end of the interview. So whatever information, your job experience, educational, like everything they ask you for, please make sure that you fill the correct thing and then look through so that you're not making any type of mistakes or errors. All right, guys, I hope you're enjoying it so far. So the next mistake that I feel that people make is rushing out to get agents. Don't get me wrong, it's okay. It is very okay to get, visa or travel agents to help you with the process, but you rush out, you get whatever agents you see on ground, and then they mess things up for you. There's so many red flags. Once you see an agent like, oh, okay, can you help me with my visa process? And they're like, no worry, everything will be all right. They'll tell you, they tell you that, no worry, I know Percy for that, for the visa place. And once they see you like this, once you give them your passport, they know that I'm from you. Hey, you better run for your life. And people do it in such a way that they just leave everything. You've gotten an agent, and then you leave everything for the agent to do. I don't think that is right. You leave your DS-160 to the agent to fill out. You leave literally every single thing. So when you get to the visa interview, because you have not gone through the process, if you don't know what they are asking you for, why did you choose that school? Because you did not choose the school yourself. You don't know what to say. You get? So just even if you're using a visa agent, get involved in the process. If the person picks, because some of these agents, they already have schools that have good acceptance rate, so they probably take you and all of that. But know the name of the school, the course you're going for, and do a little bit of research about the school, the environment, the state, the weather, and all of that, so that you yourself you have substantial information about what you're doing. How can a visa agent want to help you get your visa, and you're close to 40 years old, and then they get a visa, help you get an undergraduate program, and say that you're coming to the US? So it's possible, but what are the chances that someone who is almost 40 is coming to the United States to come and do undergraduate program? That is crazy. How can someone claim that he's an agent, tell you a 21-year-old or 20-something-year-old, and say, okay, you're coming for business conference? don't get me wrong, those things can happen, but what are the chances? How are you going to defend yourself? Don't provide story that is not the next mistake that I feel that people make all the time again is not preparing adequately for the visa interview. It is so important for you to prepare, and I think the first step towards preparing is to get whatever documents that you're going to be needing, rally around and get everything together and be organized. If there's anything they've asked you not to bring to the interview, do not bring it. Just list out whatever documents you'll be needing plus your supporting documents and start getting them ready. You don't want to start doing that on the day of the interview, so get all of that organized and good to go. Now, after you've done that, it will be very, very helpful for you to go through sample questions, sample interview questions, depending on the type of visa you are applying for. There's so many resources online right now that you can get, and whatever question you see, you're going to see some answers, but you have to, I would not advise for you to cram, but I would advise for you to have already prepared answers based on your story. Tailor whatever answer and tailor it towards your own story. For example, in my own case, when I was asked why I chose the school that I chose, I told them that while I was in school, I had a professor that I really liked, and he always talked so much about this particular school. And so I applied, and I'm like, you know what, amidst all the schools I applied to, this was the cheapest, and I'm like, I'm going to choose this school. Do you understand? I tell people also, go to the front of the mirror and ask yourself those questions. Try to practice. I did that a lot, but I also had the help of my mom. So my mom would come, okay, so why do you want to go to the US? If I answer, she'd be like, are you serious at all? What's wrong with you? Stuff like that. So she really helped me in preparing for my visa interview. Now, and again, in preparing for the visa interview, I tell people, as you are doing it, be thinking to yourself that if I were the consular officer and somebody is standing in front of me saying this story that I'm saying, will I give them the visa? Do you understand? So look for loopholes in your story, because if you are going for an F1 visa and you say that your uncle is sponsoring you, right? When you give me the account details of that uncle, it better be millions and millions, because how many uncles will sponsor their cousins to come and study in America? Do you understand my point? That will really still. So whatever point you want to prove, make sure that it makes sense. I always tell people, if you're coming for F1, then I think that your parents should be your sponsors, you get. So lastly, let's discuss the mistakes that people make on the day of the interview. Now, I don't know if I've mentioned this, but the day of the interview is not the day for you to travel. Do you understand? Travel to Abuja or Lagos a day or 2-3 days if possible before your interview day, not on the day of your interview. That doesn't even make sense. And then if you live far away from that place, let's say you live in Lagos and the stuff is in VI, you can come to the island a day before your interview. Not that day you'll not be stuck in traffic and all of that. Don't do that to yourself. Also, this is not the day, because I noticed that on that day, while we were on the queue and they were checking our documents, they had to send some people back like, well, your passport is not the required specification, white background, and like the dimensions and all of that. Because if they send you back, it destabilizes you, in a way. So please do all of that, do all of your own work, and be organized and just prepare yourself for that day. Now, when it comes to dressing, well, I would just say, just be comfortable, look clean, look put together. Is it a day for you to wear agbada and all of that? I don't think so. Is it the day for you to come and suit up and all of that? I don't think so. Is it the day for you to tie gaily and do heavy makeup? I also do not think so. But whatever it is that makes you comfortable, yeah, you can do it. You want to wear heels? I don't think so also, because there's usually a little bit of crowd and the queue is sometimes usually long. So do you want to stress yourself and be wearing heels like that? I do not think so. Is it also a day for you and all your family members to wear and go? I love daddy, mommy loves me, all those kind of things. I also do not think so. You know, what are your intents? Basically, that's what they want to know. They want to understand your reason for going, and if genuinely you're going for the purpose in which you have stated that you are going for. Finish. So all these plenty things that family members, all of you will wear the same color, or you go and do t-shirts, you draw the face of the I don't think all of that actually matters. And in your discussion with the consular officer, yes, be polite. Like the moment you get there, you could say hi, you could say hello. Is it time for you to dobale and prostrate? I do not think so. And when you are asked questions, I've heard some people, in being polite, you ask your first question, thank you very much for that question. So when I now say, just go straight to the point, answer your question and be going. I was asked about my she asked me, did you write GRE or IELTS? I'm like, yeah, I did. Yes, I did. I wrote those exams. And she didn't even ask me about my scores. For some people, did you write GRE or IELTS? Yes, so I first wrote one and I failed that one. I come and write another one. I call, hey, who's asking you for story? Do you understand? Did you write your GRE or IELTS? Oh yes, I did. I had a score. You might want to say, oh, if you are very proud of your score, because me, I knew that my score was shaky. So I just said, oh yes, I did. You get? So you can add like, oh yeah, I wrote my GRE and I had 300 or 325 in my clinical and a 7.0 or 8.0 in my IELTS. Simple and short, no need for stories. Do you understand? What other thing did on the day of my interview also, I had seen one man. I saw the man, I was like, all these Abuja rich men, they will give this man visa. It was, I think, by my left, they will give this man visa. They asked him, so who is sponsoring you? He's like, I'm sponsoring myself, I want to go for vacation. I think they asked him, how many wives do you have? He said 2. Okay, so where are you going to? He's like, oh, he's going to Atlanta. Okay, where in Atlanta? When you travel to Atlanta, where are you going to be visiting? And the man say, hey, I visit anywhere I see. Like when I go there, I'm like, yo. So if you're visiting somewhere, you have to know, oh, okay, I've never been to Atlanta, but I have planned with a travel agent, and they'll be taking me to the zoo, they'll be taking me to this one, they'll be taking me to that place and all of that. Mention the names of those particular places so that you know what you are doing. Do you understand? How much or what is your budget for this journey? You tell them, I have my budget. You cannot be on 100,000 salary and say you want to go for journey, and or maybe you can say that, oh, you have been saving for the past 5 years for this journey or something. I don't know, but plan yourself very well. And also, if they do not ask you for any document, please, there's no need to bring anything out. During my interview process, 2 things: passports, that's what I gave to them first, and at the end of the stuff where she already told me, okay, so your visa will be approved. Do you have any financial documents or bank statement? I'm like, yes, I do. And then I gave it to her. That was it. So if they don't ask you for documents, do not bring it out. Okay, talk. Use your mouth, use your words to express yourself, basically. And yeah, that's it. I hope you found this video helpful. If you have watched till the end, thank you so much for watching, and please don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell so you get notified each time I post a new video. I'll see you guys in my next video. Thank you so much.